Okay, so this is going to be kind of like a shorter rant about women and capitalism. And there's actually something. So I was just on Khadijah's live, and she was talking about how she makes decisions based on brand partnerships and stuff, and like if she needs to earn more cash, then she'll take on a sponsorship or do video or make a video that will get, garner a certain number of likes. And then she started talking a little bit about like creative passions versus kind of like what you do for a coin and how those are different. And so this was all under the umbrella of like Beyonce and what the way that Beyonce produces art. Um, so there were some people in the comments who were like critiquing her capitalism, and then Khadijah herself made this point of like, yeah, but Beyonce, even if she's expressing a sentiment that is sounds maybe familiar to something that you've gone through, she probably hasn't experienced it in the same way that you have because of things like social class and other attributes, mostly about around social class and the privileges that she's had given her social class. Um, and I want to talk about that for a minute because I think that that is where we can kind of start to unpack the reason I started making those videos about like Manifesto's office hour, thinking about how to date as a woman. No matter what men on the internet will try to say, the reality is like men are kind of like not in terms of like human value. Women have human value just for being alive because women can produce other humans. Like women have the capacity to give birth, and in addition to having the capacity to give birth, they also have the capacity, they have like certain organs like boobs and butts and vaginas that are like really highly valued in terms of like the sexual marketplace. And there is one like OnlyFans produces a lot of money. I know that people like hate to say that, but I think you should also go watch. There's actually been a lot of women who have made critiques about the movie Poor Things. I made one as well, but I definitely think you should watch those and unpack like the flowering and the blossoming of the woman in this film as she finds her sexuality and she starts to understand how men are reacting to her, as she becomes more sexual. And then she just realizes that like prostitution is the easiest way for a woman to basically participate in capitalism. Like, and so it's kind of like she had, it was like her and her like prostitute friend, they like were in a brothel until like, I don't know, it looked like it was like maybe 2 p.m. And then after 2 they literally just went out and explored the world. They were going to museums, they had some coffee, they did all of these other things in society. And it's just kind of like, kind of, yeah. But also I guess one of the comments really reminded me that we're all participating in capitalism in this way. Like it's an involuntary participation in capitalism, right? Like everyone is doing work and they're all doing, like we have a need for everyone. Like we need to see, we need to have visibility in terms of like black women thriving, black women failing, white women thriving, white women failing, all of the other people as well. But we need to see like all of these different paths. Like, oh, so how did someone go from thriving to not thriving? How did someone go from not thriving to thriving? How did someone go from rich to poor? How does it look when someone has like always stayed in the same place? Like all of those experiences like are stories. And obviously those of us who read books, listen to audiobooks, podcasts, all of those things, like we can like unpack these stories to kind of get this like circular view of like what is happening, who is doing what. But for a very long time in America, there's just been an underserved market, which is kind of like the black community in general has been underserved, but black women specifically have been. It's not even just underserved; it's like pretty much ignored. Like we haven't had hair care that targets us, we haven't had makeup that targets us, so it's like everything that has to do with like black femininity has just been ignored. And so in this moment where we have Lori Harvey and Jasmine Tukes and even like Beyonce, it's really important to like highlight and kind of push out those images and talk about them in a positive light because they actually haven't been experienced before. Like the luxury that American finances can provide to women is far exceeds the possibilities that are available in the developing world. It just does. It just is, right? Like I was my parents shipped I had like a box of makeup and I didn't even realize just how much makeup I have. It's like a lot. Like, people always talk about like face beat this and face beat that and oh my god, like pretty this and pretty that. Like if all I had was time, the looks that I could serve out of this world, right? But I think it's just really important to understand that like every minute, every second, every hour is monetized, or it could be. And maybe you should think about the fact that like it can be, and maybe you should think about being the person who monetizes your own likeness, beauty, personality, information, like whatever it is that you have. Figure out a way to package it up and brand it and create something that is valuable in society. Because the advertising dollars that once went to marketing firms is now going to individuals. Because even with just a few subscribers, even with just a small amount of money, okay, you can you can transcribe that into a lot. You can shift that into a lot.